Making for dinner tonight video. So I want you guys to make dinner with me again tonight. Of course, we're gonna be making another 5-star salad. We've got YouTube and we've got Instagram folks here joining us, so welcome everybody. Great to be with you guys once again. So tonight I don't even actually know what we're making. Celine put just a bunch of ingredients in a bowl for me, and so I'm just gonna make a salad out of it. Haven't even really decided which dressing I'm gonna make either, so if you want to stick around with me, we'll just figure it out together. All right, so we're gonna start off looking at our ingredients here. We've got a head of red leaf lettuce. Looks like we've got some red kale in here, red or purple kale. It's more purple than red. Looks like we got a leaf of lacinato kale. Got a leaf of rainbow chard. Some spinach. Haven't had spinach for quite a while, so that'll be nice to have in there. We've got some celery. It looks like some parsley, a few mushrooms, and a couple carrots. All right, so looks like a pretty solid salad. And I am going to just wash the red leaf lettuce. I think the rest of this should be okay. Now, when you guys wash your produce, I know I've said many times before, I would recommend not using tap water because you don't want to put a bunch of environmental pollutants into your food. So use reverse osmosis or distilled or some sort of purified water, but don't use too many other cleaners, because the plants have their own microbiome, and when we consume the plant's microbiome, we educate our own microbiome, and so it tells our microbiome, kind of the environment we're in. It helps us, it helps our immune system. And so when you wash away everything super clean, you're taking away that beneficial information that your immune system and your microbiome would have gotten from the plant foods that you're eating. So that is why I don't get too worried about, being excessively clean with my produce. Now, that's especially relevant if you're growing your own food. I can see the argument for, not knowing where the food was grown or who was handling it before you had it. But in general, I think that it's a good idea to not be too clean with, preparing your produce. All right, so how's everybody out there doing tonight? Anybody making a 5-star salad as well? All right, so as you guys have seen before, I just like to, before I put it in my bowl here, I've got some distilled water waiting to cleanse my leaves. Just give it a quick rough chop. And just toss it all in. So I hope everybody had a nice weekend. It's pretty windy here today, and yesterday actually too. It's been windy here for the last few days, and that's kind of normal for springtime. It gets pretty windy. I think that's just Mother Nature's way of evaporating some of that melting snow here in Minnesota. But we are liking the higher temperatures. The snow is definitely melting.
This winter was mild, but it still felt pretty long.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear the winters feel longer every single year now. Every year they come sooner and they last longer.
And now that we work from home, it's just like I don't know, it just somehow feels like it's always winter now.
Yeah. Yeah, literally last summer felt like a couple weeks.
Yeah. I think it just really was a short period of warm days that we had. Yeah. And it didn't even get up to the 90s, really. It was pretty cold. Yeah. Or, it was like a chilly summer.
Yeah.
Idiom of Sad says, this is interesting because I've found myself obsessed with microbiome and how to improve theirs.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, the microbiome. I've also been looking into that quite a lot lately, over the last, year or two. And so there's a lot of really interesting information about how to keep it healthy, how to protect it. So, is there anything specific that you've been learning about recently?
Luckily, these salads that we eat are basically a prebiotic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, these 5-star salads, if you're looking to really enhance your microbiome, 5-star salads is where it's at. You want to get as many different fibers, as many different colors, hydration. All of that's going to play a big part in feeding the beneficial microbes and allowing them to, take hold and control the environment, suppress pathogenic microbes, and supply the body with all the, metabolites that they create, the short chain fatty acids, the vitamins like B12 or B12, K2, folate. All these things come from our microbes that we ourselves wouldn't be able to get without them. So it's an interesting relationship we have with those little critters. All right, so there is the red leaf lettuce. So, yeah.
Hand me the blender and put your salad.
Do what? Here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I typically will leave. Some people will pull off the leaves of the kale stems. I typically leave the kale stem with what I'm gonna cut up, and I keep it in my salad, except for if it's like a super long one like this. I will just break it off where the leaves end, but I do still keep that top bit of stem in there. I kind of look at the stem like the umbilical cord of the plant, of the leaves. And so that is where all the nutrients are flowing through to get to the different leaves and the fruits. And so it's important to include that because you're going to be getting a good source of concentrated minerals and vitamins and all that good stuff. So these we will, I'm going to break these off and we'll just probably juice these. So I'm going to keep these to the side. I'll just put them in there for now. But yeah, we will juice those.
I have a plate.
Oh.
Also, you're in the shot.
Oh, okay.
Lori Knight is here.
Hey, Lori.
Hey, Lori. She has a question.
Yeah.
Do you try to get organic produce? If the produce is not organic, do you clean it in a different way?
Great question. I Pretty much only buy organic. You know, there are certain things that I will buy that is not organic, like the dates that we get, because I did message the farmer and I asked if they use any sprays. And he says that they don't, so taking his word for it. And, you know, if I were to buy sometime, okay, so watermelon is a good example. I have bought non-organic watermelon. Obviously, you know, you don't need to wash the outside of that because you're not going to really eat the outside. So anything that I'm going to be eating the outside of, I pretty much only buy organic. I can't remember the last time that I bought something that I was going to eat the whole food, you know, the outside included, and it wasn't organic. So if I were going to, then yeah, I would definitely wash it really well. That would be an exception. I would definitely wash that really well. Or I would peel it, you know. The thing is, when they're growing the food, you know, especially like glyphosate, that is getting into the actual flesh of the plant. So you can't really wash it off. And so that's the problem with buying conventional produce, is that the glyphosate is going to be all throughout the plant. That, you know, it's you got to weigh the pros and cons. It's not that we want to discourage people from eating fruits and vegetables if they can't get organic. The thing is just doing the best you can, and, you know, getting as much organic as possible. And, you know, when you do have a chance to, or, you know, if you can wash it, the outside, you know, do your best to wash it. But, you know, unfortunately, we just can't get all of that out of there. So yeah, that's why I try to do my best to only buy organic as much as possible. And another reason that I'm just kind of starting to learn about is, and I've heard, if you're familiar with Dr. Zach Bush, he talks a lot about the shikimate pathway, which is essentially it's the pathway that the chemical companies like Monsanto have used to in court say that Roundup does not harm humans, because humans they don't go through the shikimate pathway in their bodies. So it's only something plants do, but it's also something that our microbes do in our microbiome. So the shikimate pathway is involved in the plants creating the essential proteins, the essential amino acids that they produce that we need to get from them. So if the plant is not able to produce all of the amino acids that we are looking for to get from them, that's going to be a problem as far as our nutrition, but also the glyphosate that is coming through the plants into our intestinal tract, into our microbiome environment. That's going to affect our microbes' ability to go through that shikimate pathway, and they're not going to be able to produce the compounds that we rely on to stay healthy. So that's, you know, one thing that I've kind of been looking into. I've been listening to Dr. Zach Bush, and I can't remember I was just listening to somebody else talk about that too. I can't remember who that was, but you know, you can just Google or YouTube shikimate pathway, and you can kind of get an idea of a little bit more of what that is. It's funny though how the chemical companies come up with very, very creative ways to you know, pull the wool over our eyes.
I think you mentioned watermelon a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Karen Ashley asks, is the watermelon seedless?
So, I mean, I wasn't necessarily referring to any specific one, but I have been consuming seedless watermelon. If I can find seeded watermelon, then I go for that. So we have an Amish or a Mennonite farm around our area, and one of the farms that we go to and buy produce from sometimes, they carry the Mennonite watermelons. Now, for the longest time, I thought they were growing organically, and I'm not sure if, I swear that the farmer had mentioned that it was organic years ago, but then last year we asked if it was organic just to double check, and it sounds like it's not organic anymore. So I'm not sure if I misunderstood way back when, or if they just changed their process, but they haven't been growing organic watermelons for us anymore.
The seeded.
Yeah, the seeded ones, because that was the cheapest and the best seeded watermelon that I could find, and now I find out it wasn't organic. So yeah, if I can find organic seeded watermelon, that would be ideal. That'd be the best. If I can find seedless organic, then I'll get that. And then I've gotten further away from buying non-organic watermelon, regardless if it's seeded or seedless. Just really trying to do my best to avoid glyphosate and everything else. For what are they called? All the different pesticides. I think it's like 4,2-D or T2D4. I don't know. There's a bunch of different names of commonly used pesticides out there that are still being sprayed on our parks and our school playgrounds and sidewalks and all these things, and of course in people's lawns, that are getting into everything, our waterways, into our drinking water. We're bathing in it. So you just gotta do the best you can.
Karen says the seedless watermelon can cause leaky gut since they're GMOs.
Oh, so seedless watermelon, as far as I know, is not GMO. It's just hybridized. So if they use glyphosate, it may cause leaky gut if they're using glyphosate on it, which is probably pretty likely they are. But I don't believe it's because they're actual GMO. At least not all of them.
It's if it's non-organic.
It can be non-organic and still not be GMO. It might be hybridized.
Are you washing those? They're pretty sandy.
Oh, they're sandy?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt that they can cause leaky gut for sure, because if it's not organic, it's probably going to have glyphosate on it, regardless if it's GMO or not. But as far as I'm aware, not all seedless watermelons are actually organic. They're just hybridized to be that way. All right, so this is the spinach. And again, it's been a long time. Way back when I first got into this lifestyle, spinach was like my go-to green. I ate a lot of spinach, even before I got in this lifestyle. Back in college, I was eating a lot of spinach. So, and then I kind of just got away from it. But it's nice to have every once in a while.
That's because we often choose organic and we just go without if we can't find organic. Like, we don't get a lot of types of greens like watercress, mustard greens, stuff like that, because we just don't have access to that organic.
Yeah.
Of course, we have access to the pre-washed spinach, but we try to not really buy the pre-washed.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And see, that's one of the shames of only buying organic, because there's a lot of different types of greens and different vegetables at like Asian markets and, you know, other stores like that you don't find in just the average grocery store. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up. I mean, if you can get to know the people in your Asian markets, and, you know, because especially at our farmers market, you know, there's a lot of different farms around there that do sell some different varieties of greens and things like that, but very few of them are actually organic farms. So, you know, I guess we haven't gone around to too many of those and asked if they're, you know, what they spray.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be something that we should maybe do this summer.
Yeah. Karen says, you may wish to look at Dr. David Jubb's explanation of hybridized fruit. There's many that he says are dangerous.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll look into it. Thank you.
And Idiom of Sad says, do you happen to know anything about foraging your own greens?
Not really. That's something that I've considered getting more, you know, knowledgeable about for several years now. I actually was very close to going into taking like herbalism classes and going into some, you know, taking some courses around here that teach natural foraging and things like that. So, but I just haven't done it. And so it is, you know, if you're into that, which I think is a great thing, because a lot of the wild plants are going to be infinitely more healthy than anything that we're growing just in our farms. You know, our cultivated plants are not even close to the nutrition of wild plants. So, you know, I personally should get more into that. I just haven't yet. Yeah.
Lori says, since eating organic does limit variety, she supplements her diet with homegrown sprouts and microgreens. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's what we do too. Yep, we've really been getting into the sprouting, and that's really nice. That was going to be another thing I was going to mention. Somebody commented about too much. They don't digest kale that well. So if they're going to try and meet my 5-star salad criteria, where you need to have at least one cruciferous leafy green, you could do broccoli sprouts. You know, that would be a great substitute for kale, and you would probably be able to digest that much better. So that's something to consider. And also, it may be something, if you're not used to eating that level of greens or that type of green, you may want to just work your way up to it. You know, so start small, just add in a little bit at a time and gradually increase as time goes on. And you might find that your microbiome adjusts to it, and, you know, you digest it much better. I know personally for me, I did not even enjoy kale when I first got into this lifestyle.
Me neither.
Yeah, I very rarely ate it because I just didn't really care for the taste. And now it's one of my absolute staples and favorite greens to use.
And I didn't like the thick texture of it. And for me, like it's like an acquired
Yeah.
thing you have to get used to. I
Yeah.
love it now.
Yeah.
Because it's hearty.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It just gives so much more, substance to the salad.
Back to foraging.
Yeah.
Idiom of Sad says that they foraged their own greens for a time, but stopped because they didn't feel they knew enough on it. But
Oh.
during that time, never felt better.
Wow.
And then Karen says, Sergei Botenko has a book and playing cards on natural foraging.
Oh, playing cards too? That's a good idea. That's cool. Yeah, I've watched a few of Sergio's videos. I like the videos that he put out. And yeah, that's another book that I should probably order about foraging. Again, I mean, if you really want to, up your personal security as far as food security, if you can learn how to identify edible plants out in nature, I mean, if it came down to it, which hopefully it never does, but it's just another skill to have that you can fall back on if for whatever chance that came about. So being able to find food in nature is, a great thing to know.
A really good skill.
Yeah. All right, so now I will mention, somebody actually also asked about oxalates. And so this salad, if somebody is sensitive to oxalates, this may not be a great salad for them. Chard and spinach are some of the higher greens in oxalates. And so those are maybe two greens that somebody that feels that they need to avoid oxalates, those two greens they may want to avoid, or at least just eat them in smaller amounts. But things like kale and romaine and lettuces and things like that, they're relatively lower in oxalates, and so really, in my view, there's absolutely nothing to worry about with that. You got to remember, greens are alkalizing. Greens are not going to cause stone formation in the joints or in the kidneys. Unless you're eating exorbitant amounts, unless you're juicing like 2 pounds of spinach a day, the chances that you're gonna form any issues, whether it be joint or kidney issues from oxalates in a whole food plant-based diet that includes greens, in my opinion, the chance is extremely small. I've been eating greens every single day for almost 10 years now, and give or take. Obviously, I just did a 26-day water fast, so I didn't eat them those days. But for the most part, I've been eating greens every single day for 10 years, lots of greens, and no issues. And I strongly believe that would be the case for anybody out there that hasn't had recent or chronic use of antibiotics. Apparently we have a microbe, a bacteria in our gut called Oxalobacter that breaks down oxalic acid. And so they eat it and they reduce our levels for us. So if you've been taking a lot of antibiotics, then you may not have that bacteria and you may potentially elevate your levels of oxalic acid. But otherwise, or if you've had like gastric bypass, where if you've had some sort of surgery or some medical intervention that has altered your intestinal structure, then there may be some things that you want to, be careful of. But for the average, normal, healthy, pretty healthy person, I see no worries. All right, so for the fresh herb, remember guys, this is a 5-star salad, so we gotta have a fresh herb in our salad. And so tonight we're gonna use parsley. And it doesn't have to be a ton, just has to be a little bit to really give the salad that really nice flavor. Herbs are the best for spicing up, flavor-wise, the salad. I think I just saw a question come through.
Instagram?
Facebook.
Oh. Or YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube. I don't even hardly use Facebook.
Oh, Lori asks, can you talk about why you did your fast, your 26-day water fast?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just something I've always wanted to do. I'm not sure if that sounds strange to people, but I've always been drawn to water fasting. And it wasn't until the whole, COVID issue that's been going on that now I work from home. And so before I really couldn't fast for extended periods of time on only water because I had to go to work. And it's not good to be going out when you've been driving and doing anything really that's really taxing mentally, or it requires a lot of alertness. It's just not something I was able to do. But so now that I work from home, I was able to just obviously stay here, and so I had the opportunity to do the fast finally, and so I took the opportunity. I have done 35-day juice fasts, and I've gone to work and been just fine. But when it comes to water, it's a different ball game. So yeah, it was something that I had wanted to do for many years, really. And so I'm glad that it happened the way that it did, and it happened. I'm almost 10 years into this lifestyle, and I've been practicing fasting for various lengths and various techniques for almost a decade. And so I had given my body the prerequisite initiation, I guess, to do something like that. And so that's why you don't want to just jump into a long extended water only fast for most people. So it's just good to work your way up to something like that if it's something that calls you. And so it was. I'm glad that I did it. I would actually like to do another one at some point. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but another one will be in my future. The thing that I really felt the most benefit from was one. It really connected me with my breath, and I've always understood for the most part that breathing was important, but the insights that I received during the fast regarding my breath and just my connection with my breath and how I have been breathing, it's like it just completely opened my eyes to how I've been breathing, how that's been affecting my health and just my mind. And so it's something that now I'm really into. I've been reading the book Breath, or is it Breathe?
Breath.
I think it's Breath.
Breath.
By James Nestor. I also just read the book not too long ago, The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McCowan. So those are two books. If anybody else is interested in the power of breath, that I would recommend looking into. But as far as like physical, I was always curious if I did a long extended water fast, if I would experience any significant changes in, just my physical health. And I didn't notice too much after, I felt good going into the fast, and I feel good now. So not much changed physically that I can think of, but the real benefits were mentally, and just my awareness of my breath, and how it influences different things that you do. So anxiety wise, or just when I speak, I tend to hold my breath, especially when I'm in discussion with people. And so that's something, it just brought that awareness to me. And it's something that it's actually been very life-changing, really. I'm still working on that aspect of breathing, learning to really fine-tune the way that I breathe when I talk, to help strengthen my voice, and just calm my anxiety and my nerves. So that's what I've been kind of working with in that realm, and that's what really benefited me with the fast. So I'll be interested to see the next fast that I do. I would really like to be able to just rest. When I did my fast, I was still working on a computer, so it's not like I was doing anything physical, but still it took a lot of mental capacity, and I was actually still doing a lot of writing on the book that I'm trying to finish and get published. So eventually that's going to come out. But I got so much done during my fast because I was just so mentally just on
Clear.
point. Yeah, I was so clear mentally that it was just like the words were flowing, everything was coming out so easily. And, because I was fasting, so I had more nerve energy going to my mental state, but also I was doing so much less, I didn't have to worry about eating or making food or what I was going to eat. Shopping. I didn't leave the house at all. So I was really just kind of in my own little bubble for a month, basically. And so that really kind of cleared out my mind, and it really just let me get into the zone. And so if I'm able to, completely, not work on my book, because hopefully I'll have that finished by the next time I do a long fast, so I'm hoping that I'll just be able to completely rest, no work, no writing, nothing like that, and just see if I notice any other additional benefits from something like that. All right, so I'm just chopping up some mushrooms here. Mushrooms are great for the microbiome as well. They contain a fiber called beta-glucan, and so that feeds our beneficial bacteria that produce butyrate. And I've talked about butyrate a lot on these videos. It's one of the most discussed short chain fatty acids that we produce. We produce the main three short chain fatty acids that we produce are butyrate, propionate, and acetate. And so butyrate is associated with so many benefits in the body. Like I mentioned last time, it's associated with higher levels of GABA, which is protein in the brain that helps to calm the brain and reduce inflammation. And it also increases the production of glutathione that our liver produces, which is an antioxidant. So, and it also feeds our gut cells. I think they say it's like 70% of the food source for our colonocytes, which are just the cells within our colon. Cyte means cell, colon obviously colonocyte. So those are just the cells in our colon. And so they produce, or they eat the butyrate, which the beneficial bacteria produce. So that's pretty cool. Oh, butyrate also shores up, it shores up the tight junctions in our intestinal tract. So it prevents leaky gut by tightening up those tight junctions, but it also gets into our circulation, goes up to the brain, and also shores up the tight junctions in our blood-brain barrier. So just like in the gut, it prevents leakage of unwanted materials. Same thing in the brain. All right, so there's the mushrooms. So I'm not sure if you guys are counting, but it looks like we've got, like, I guess I lost count too. How many colors do we have here? We got the mushrooms, which are like brown, the celery, which is a lighter green. We've got the dark greens from the kale and the parsley.
And the red kale and red...
Yeah, the purple from the red kale.
And then this purple onion here.
Right. So we're...
The carrots.
Yep. We're well on track to meet that 5-color minimum.
Why'd you choose 5?
It just sounded good.
It does.
Yeah. It just made sense. 5-star. Everybody's familiar, you know, hotels or whatever.
No, 5 colors.
Oh, 5 colors. Yeah, it just seemed doable, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's kind of like, it's so easy to get 4, but can you get 5?
Right. Exactly. I don't always know why I do things.
They just make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
Divine guidance, right?
Exactly. All right, so I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek. What's going on here?
Pretty full bowl.
It is pretty full. All right, what should I do next? Carrots?
The bowl's in front of the cutting.
Oh. All right. So I didn't know if I was gonna have much to talk about tonight. So I brought my little sticky note here. Something that I brought up a while ago, but I haven't talked about lately, is there's 5 questions that I think are important for anybody to contemplate if they are trying to determine if their style of diet or just the foods they choose to eat, whether it be a specific food or a general category of foods, whether it is sustainable or beneficial to them. So there's 5 questions I think we should be asking ourselves to determine this. First question is it health promoting, right? So, there's foods that we eat every single day. We want to make sure, obviously, that they're health promoting. That's just something that I guess personally is important to me. With just for a lot of reasons, but for one, the environment that we live in today is just like, it's hard to even wrap your mind around how toxic it is. We got chemicals in our air, we've got, chemicals in our water, we've got chemicals in our food, we've got chemicals in our homes, in the paint, in the cupboards, in, the carpets, in our bedding, in our clothing. So, it's an uphill battle that I don't think enough people recognize. And that, it's just important to do the things that are within your control to give yourself the best chance at maintaining a high level of health into the future, right? So I think that eating a clean, healthy, whole foods, plant-based diet is one of the simplest, most practical, and easiest things we can do to start that process of detoxifying the body and detoxifying our mind. And so that's just the first question that I think we should be asking about the foods that we are deciding that we're going to be eating every single day. Second question is, does it taste good, right? So are you eating things just because you think they're healthy, but they don't taste good to you? Then it's probably not going to be sustainable, to be eating a bunch of things that don't taste good. Now, that's not to say that your body won't adjust, your taste buds won't adjust, your microbiome will adjust, and you will start to adapt to the foods you eat. You'll start to enjoy the taste of those foods. But if it's just something, that you've been eating for quite a while and you don't really enjoy it, you're just doing it because you saw a video on YouTube tell you that, you have to eat this way, or it's, or you're just not going to be healthy, then you may want to reconsider. It's important to eat foods that we truly enjoy, to eat foods that get us excited about eating. It's not great for digestion to just eat things that taste unpleasant to us. So find a way, if you do want to eat that, figure out how to make it taste good to you, but don't do it in a way that is, you have to manipulate it somehow, coat it in some, sugar or something. So yeah, that's just another question that I personally think about when I'm trying to determine if my eating habits are sustainable and, they just make sense. The third question that I ask is, does it make me feel good? So there's a lot of things that we can eat that make us feel good. But, okay, and now I gotta also say, you need to answer yes to every single one of these questions for that food or that diet style to pass, I guess, for me. If it's gonna pass, if I'm gonna continue to eat it, I want it to be a yes to all 5 of these questions. So, does it taste good? It could taste good, yeah, but is it health promoting, right? Or is it health promoting, but it doesn't taste good to me? If one of those is no, then the chance of me sustaining that lifestyle or whatever I'm trying to do is slim. You know, you want to enjoy what you're doing. You want it to be health promoting. And so you find the foods and, you know, the habits that, or the, you know, the style of eating that is going to answer yes to all of these questions. All right. So again, the third question is, does it make me feel good? There are foods that make people feel good that are so-called acceptable in this diet and lifestyle, you know. Maybe high-fat gourmet raw foods that technically, you know, relatively could be considered healthy. Do you think it's healthy for you? Do you think a high-fat gourmet meal tastes good? You'll probably say yes. Does it make me feel good? Now that doesn't just mean does it make you feel good while you're eating it, but does it make you feel good after you eat it, an hour later, 2 hours later, later that night? Do you still feel good? Do you feel energized? Do you feel, you know, just better off for eating that food? Or, you know, some people, because, you know, anybody could say something makes me feel good in the moment. There's a lot of pizza would make me feel good in the moment, I think. But maybe not anymore. I haven't had pizza for, you know, regular pizza for 10 years. But, you know, pizza used to be my favorite food. Did it make me feel good in the moment I was eating it? Yes, it did. But did I feel the greatest, you know, a few hours later? No, I didn't. I felt greasy and sluggish and, you know, bloated. So you gotta just question, one, does it make me feel good while I'm eating it? You want to enjoy the food, yes. But does it also make you feel good in, you know, an hour or two or later that night? So that's just another thing to think about. Fourth question is it affordable? So kind of like we were just talking about organic earlier, it may not be affordable, although organic pricing has come down quite a bit in recent years. So it is more affordable for more people now than it probably ever has been. But you know, obviously there's still situations where people find it to be not affordable. And so if it's not affordable and they're just saying, all right, I'm only going to buy organic, and you know, they're spending all their money on just a few small, you know, variations of foods, that's not going to be healthy long term. That's not going to be enjoyable long term. And so, you know, is it affordable? You got to say yes if you want this to be sustainable. So if all organic is not sustainable, if all organic is not affordable, it won't be sustainable long term. So then don't stress yourself out about only buying organic. Do the best you can. You know, when you have to buy non-organic, just wash it as best you can. Find the cleanest non-organic produce that you can find. You know, if you go to your farmers markets and you get to know the farmers, you know, get to know them and just ask them what they use in their growing practice. And maybe you could influence how they grow their food. You know, if they get enough people telling them that they want organic food or they want no sprayed foods, you know, it doesn't have to be certified organic. It could just be, you know, they don't use sprays, but they just don't get the certification. You know, that would be great as well. So, yeah. So is it affordable? We want to make sure that what we're doing is going to be affordable. I'll give you an example. I would love to eat a high proportion of my diet to be mangoes and papayas, right? I would love that. That would be perfect, and I think that would be even better than how I eat now. But that is not affordable for me. Papayas here are super expensive, and they don't always ripen that well, and it's just like, I'm not gonna, you know, even though somebody in Costa Rica is telling me that I should only be eating, you know, fruits and tender leafy greens, it just doesn't make sense for the rest of the people watching that video who live in the continental United States. Like, I'm sorry, but living in Minnesota, it's not practical to be eating a ton of papaya and a ton of mango. Now, in the summer, I can get quite a few mango, but still, papaya, it's just so expensive. And so that's why I adjust and I adapt my food selections to things that I can afford. One, things that I enjoy eating, things that are health promoting, and things that taste good. Now, I love papaya, and that's why hopefully, you know, in not too distant of the future, I will be moving somewhere south where we can grow our own papayas and our own mangoes. And so, you know, that's just an example of how you need to personalize the way that you eat. You can't necessarily just go by what somebody in a tropical climate or a tropical area like Costa Rica or southern Florida, how they say it is ideal to eat, because that might work for them where they are. I mean, I would love to be in Costa Rica just eating papaya and mango, but it's just not practical. So we got to make sure this is practical for each person's situation. All right, so is it affordable? Something you got to ask yourself. Make your diet affordable, health promoting, taste good, and make you feel good now and in the future. And the last and fifth question, is it sustainable? So that just kind of, you know, brings it back full circle, just kind of encapsulates all of that. If it is not health promoting, it's not going to be sustainable because you're going to start to feel like crap. You're going to get sick. If it is not tasting good, you're just not going to stick with it. It's just not nobody's going to just continue to eat foods that don't taste good. They're going to fall off the wagon, and, you know, it's just not going to be sustainable. Does it make the people feel good? Now, again, if people are eating foods that don't make them feel good, like I guess I was doing for a long time, we can kid ourselves. We can play ignorant and act like we don't notice that we don't feel good for a decent amount of time, but you will not sustain that diet or lifestyle too far into the future before you start to experience some symptoms of dis-ease, right? So just saying. And then again, is it affordable? You got to make it affordable. So those are the 5 questions that I like to ask myself about the things that I'm eating, and if it makes sense and if it's sustainable. So hope that spurred some thought in your minds tonight.
Sherry gave us a super chat.
What?
And she said, Matt is always dropping the wisdom bomb. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry. Sherry, you're too kind.
Always so kind.
She is. Okay, now.
I can show you guys the sweater that Sherry gave us.
Yes.
She just sent it to us.
Very nice.
I love it. It says vegan strong. I forget what the back says.
It says plants have all the protein you need. So true.
Thank you, Sherry. Sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. All right, so we've got a little mini cucumber here. Just chopped up again. Man, what time is it? 7:30. All right, guys, so this is actually way later.
Hours later.
Yeah. I'm usually done eating dinner
by 7
by 6 o'clock. I'm done before the clock hits 6 o'clock normally, now that I work from home. So that's been one really nice benefit that I've had from working from home, is my eating window has gone down to, I pretty much start eating between 11 and 12, 11:30 and 12, somewhere in there. And then I am finished completely eating before 6 o'clock. And so that gives my body, what is it, like 16 hours or something like that of intermittent fasting to digest and assimilate and absorb and utilize all the things that I'm eating. And then, again, going back to the microbiome, intermittent fasting helps proliferate some of the really beneficial bacteria in our intestines, such as one that's called Akkermansia. So Akkermansia is a type of bacteria that it's like a super bacteria. It's like a bacteria that polices the other bacteria. It does something called quorum sensing, where it looks around and it senses which bacteria are pathogenic and which ones are beneficial or commensal, and it will go and sit next to the pathogenic bacteria, and it can create its own antibiotics that take care that reduce the number of those pathogenic bacteria without causing any damage to the good bacteria. And it also can sense which are the good bacteria, and it goes over and it releases postbiotics, short chain fatty acids, to help to increase the number of the good bacteria. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that is called Akkermansia. When I first heard it talked about, I thought it was acromantia. And I thought about a little acrobat guy. And I really liked that.
So how is it spelled instead?
It's spelled Akkermansia. Akkermansia.
Oh, so it's acker instead of acro.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
I got you some water right there to wash.
Oh, thank you. All right, so we've got a little hot tub for our tomatoes. Now the tomatoes, they sometimes do look a little dirty, so I will just rinse them off. Again, it's just pure distilled water. It's no like veggie wash or anything like that. Those products may be fine. I just prefer not to use them.
Serrated.
Oh, right. And so with tomatoes, it's nice to have the serrated knife, right? So just works a little more efficiently.
Scoop that salad bowl away. Extra tomatoes are my favorite.
Yeah, salads just are not the same if they don't have tomatoes, in my opinion. Now, Roma tomatoes are not my favorite tomato, but they are affordable. So this ties back into, is it affordable? We could buy all grape tomatoes, but that'd just be a little too spendy.
Sometimes we do that.
Yeah, sometimes. If we got a good sale going on or something.
Or even sometimes we just feel like having the enjoyment of.
Yeah.
You keep it in the bowl.
Oh, sorry. All right, what's this? Where'd this guy come from?
It's a Campari.
Wow.
Naturals had organic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Campari tomatoes.
They're the best kind of tomatoes.
Yeah, I really like Camparis. All right, so I don't probably need to use all of these.
Okay.
I'm covering up all the mushroom.
I want them.
These?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can, I'll take the plate, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Is that distilled water?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can pour it in there if you want.
All right, guys, so the salad is complete. Ah, one of the tomatoes. So that is the salad. Definitely a 5-star salad. You want to, when you lift up your salad, you want it to engage your abdomen. It should be that heavy that it really causes you a little bit of strain. All right, so now we're going to make the dressing. I do not know what dressing I'm going to make right now. The only thing I know is that it's going to have sesame seeds, organic white sesame seeds. So I'm going to do 3 tablespoons. If you have purchased any of my salad dressing ebooks, that is one thing that I have changed, is that the ebooks have 1/4 cup of nuts or seeds, or I guess just seeds. And now I've experimented with going a little bit less, and now I'm only using 3 tablespoons of seeds. And so I find it still tastes delicious, and it just lowers the fat content a little bit. And that's kind of what I've been experimenting with, and I've liked it. So I haven't noticed any difference really. And so I figure if I can have just a little bit more, or a little bit less fat percentage of my calories, I might as well, if I can, do it without having any sort of detriment to my enjoyment of my diet. All right, so I'm actually going to do, there's 2 and just 2 1/4 tablespoon, because I'm also going to add in 1 Brazil nut. All right, so 1 Brazil nut and a little over 2 tablespoons of white sesame seeds. The reason I'm doing that is because I like to sometimes I'll do that. I'll use a little bit less of a seed, and I haven't put this in any of my recipe books. I probably, should, but just a little tip is that you can do a little bit less of the main seed and then add in like a half or a full Brazil nut, and that way you're getting, hopefully, an increased amount of selenium. And so I just like to give myself a little insurance to boost up my selenium, as that is involved in a lot of different processes. It's good for the thyroid, it's good for the liver with phase 2 detox pathway. So selenium is an important nutrient, an important mineral that is supposed to be concentrated in Brazil nuts. And so that is why I try to remember to add in a Brazil nut into my dressings. All right, so now we're gonna put in half of a lemon. This is something somebody asked me about recently. They wanted to know if you put everything, after you peel the lemon, do you put everything in or do you just like squeeze it out? But yes, you put the pulp or you put everything, the fiber and everything. And so I like to cut off as little, as much or as little as possible. I just want to get the yellow off of there, but I want to leave the white pith in there because there's a lot of good nutrition in that white spot. Just under the yellow. And I mean, sometimes I even leave a little bit of the yellow in there, just a shade of yellow is still in there. So it might give me some essential oils or, some added nutrition. All right, so we've got the sesame seeds, the Brazil nut, and the lemon. Now I'm going to add 2 medjool dates. It's kind of my standard as far as adding sweetener.
2 of them.
Yeah, 2. If you don't like mixing dates with your with seeds, just leave them out. Or if you can do just 1 date, or you can do half a date. Whatever your personal preference is. I don't find any issues with mixing them digestive wise or anything like that. So that's something, it's not I guess going to be accepted by people that are really strict with their food combining, because that would go against that. But personally, I like to adjust the diet, not based on just a strict, cookie cutter way of doing it. I adjust it for the way that I find enjoyable, that I find makes me feel good. Again, going back to those questions. Is it healthful? Yeah. Is it, does it taste good? Yes. Does it make me feel good? Yes. Is it affordable? Yes. Is it sustainable? Yes. All right, so that's kind of how I make my decisions. I feel good after doing it, so that's what I do. Okay, so now I'm gonna want to, I'll put in some garlic. All right, so I'm gonna add in 1 clove of garlic. I leave the skin, the whatever it's called, just the skin, I guess, that most people peel off. I just put that right in there. It's a little added fiber. It's a little, maybe there's some nutrients in there that I can get. And the Vitamix pulverizes it anyway, so I don't even notice. All right. All right, what else do I want?
21 seasoning.
21 seasoning, should I?
Chipotle.
Ooh, Chipotle sounds kind of good. I don't know. Yeah, I'll just do 21 seasoning.
We have too many options.
Too many options right now, guys. So we get this Kirkland 21 seasonings. I think it's Costco that sells it. So I will just put in, and it's a no salt organic seasoning. I'm gonna put in like 2 teaspoons.
Jalapeno.
Sure. And then we'll do just
Oh my.
about that of jalapeno. All right, and now we're gonna need about 3/4 of a cup of water. That is it. So what did we have in there? We got the sesame seeds, the Brazil nut, 2 dates, half of a lemon peeled, a little sliver of jalapeno, 2 teaspoons of organic, no salt, 21 seasoning, Kirkland. I think that's it, right? And one small clove of garlic.
Do you want bell pepper?
No, that's good. All right, here we go. Now, a lot of people use tahini. A lot of raw vegans use tahini. Personally, I would much rather use whole seeds. If you have a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, there's no reason to really be using tahini when you can just be blending up the fresh whole seed. Because when you buy a tahini, the cell walls have been broken up. So now that it's in its butter form, or nut butter form, it's going to be exposed to oxygen. So those fats are going to oxidize, and so I think it is much better of an option to get your whole sesame seeds and blend it yourself, and it becomes nice and creamy, just like it would with tahini, but you're gonna probably be getting fresher fats, fresher tasting ingredients, or a fresher tasting dressing, and the tahini is condensed down. So typically when I make tahini, because I do make tahini sometimes, I'm not saying to never eat tahini, but I'm just saying, on average, if you're gonna use something like sesame seeds in a dressing,
like daily.
Yeah, for your daily habits, I would use the whole seed rather than tahini.
So you have it fresh.
Right, and then use tahini. If you're gonna use tahini, make it yourself. It's super simple, and I've got a video here on YouTube. Explaining how to do it in a food processor. It's really easy. You just essentially take 3 cups of sesame seeds, put them in a food processor, and run it for about 15 minutes, and you got yourself homemade, no oil added, no whatever added, no salt added ingredients, or tahini. So much better way to do it if you're going to use tahini. Or just do what I do and use whole seeds. All right, so let's give this a taste test. That's good. I mean, that's how simple. That is how simple it is to make a homemade dressing.
The key is like not putting too many things.
Yeah, what was that? 5 or 6 ingredients?
Yeah.
So simple.
That's what Matt has taught me. Like, I used to try to put all kinds of spices. Well, I guess this is 21 spices.
I guess, yeah.
It's like I would try to put a tablespoon of this, a teaspoon of that, like things that did not complement each other, and it just it was hard to eat those dressings.
Yeah. Once you get the hang of it, it's like you can do it in your sleep. It's so easy. And so, yeah.
Sprouts.
Oh yeah, sprouts. So if you guys want to, right? All right, so I'm also going to add a few sprouts in here. The green pea sprouts are delicious. I think, is that your favorite kind?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Celine's favorite kind is the green pea sprouts. They're nice and sweet. I'll leave more for you.
I already had some.
Oh, you did? Well. All right, then we've got some mung bean sprouts. Some of the easiest sprouts to sprout.
Very quick.
Yeah, really quick. And we're also sprouting some French lentils. So I'm just going to add in a few of those. And these are all still in the process of growing, so I think we're on day 3.
But the mung beans and peas are good, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they're all technically still growing.
Oh.
All right, so that is that. We also have some broccoli sprouts, but they're not quite ready. So we're gonna just stick with what we have here. See that? Now I'm gonna try and show you guys the drizzle. Thank you. Gotta get the pics.
Instagram pics.
Okay, thank you. So, that's what we got. Not sure if you can really tell how creamy the dressing is, but it is super creamy. Looks perfect. And so I'm gonna actually scrape more of that out with a spatula once we get off the
Live.
feed here. So yeah, that is my dinner tonight, guys. Again, this is way later than I typically eat, but you know, I just wanted to pop back on and connect with you guys once again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments box after we post this. And yeah, it was great hanging out with you. So thanks again, and always follow your raw intuition.